Welcome to Wildspire. You get to be a fly on the wall for my intimate conversations with entrepreneurs who are changing the world. I'm your host, Stephanie Benedetto, coach, storyteller, and unmarketer at The Awakened Business, helping coaches and change-making entrepreneurs unleash their inspired message and share it with playful unmarketing. I'll ask curious questions and explore uncharted waters with my guest today. Anything can happen when we step into the unknown of infinite creativity, and that's where we're going to play. My guest today is Suhair Fakhoury, and I get to share with you this very special conversation that we had. Suhair and I have been exploring flow and creative emergence together for some time. And in this conversation, we both experience some really beautiful feelings and insights as we go deeper, right in real time. So I'm really happy to share this with you. And let me tell you a little bit more about Suhair. Suhair is a certified professional coactive coach, a certified innovation coach, and a professional certified coach accredited by the International Coach Federation. Suhair partners with individuals to support and amplify natural strengths, as well as transform limitations to achieve personal and professional success. Her approach is unique to each person, focusing on one's own nature, behavior, and mannerisms, tapping into one's potential for a higher performance rate. Suhair is a painter, using art as a doorway for deeper and richer self-expression. She lives with her family in Abu Dhabi, speaks Arabic, English, and studied French. Suhair enjoys reading, cooking, and playing tennis. Suhair is a strong believer that when we align with who we are, we become an unstoppable force of nature. And I think you may agree with me that Suhair is one of those forces of nature. So I'm pleased to introduce you to her now. Hello, Suhair. Welcome to Wildspire. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Stephanie. I'm happy to be here.
Me too. So, what I've always loved about you since I first met you is the way that you listen, the way that you show up with yourself and other people with this willingness to be as raw and real as necessary. Like even drawn to it. I feel that invitation with you. Just like let's go to the edge and see what happens. And even when it scares the shit out of us. Especially when it's maybe.
Okay.
And so a conversation with you is I let's do it. Let's do that.
Wow. Yeah, you got me goosebumps just describing that, because you took me to moments we had together where we experienced what you're talking about, that going in the unknown, exploring something new. So let's do it.
Yeah. So you had brought the topic of flow to explore together today. So what does flow mean to you?
Flow is just the blending with the space. It's just becoming one with the space. It's just losing your sense of form, and you just become bigger than what you think you are. You just become the space. You become one with what you're doing. You become one with everything around you. And in that space, anything can happen. Anything is possible, I believe. Yeah, this is flow for me. This is when time stops, I think, in a way.
What do you really love about that?
It's effortless. It's just like, it's pure awareness. It's effortless. It's just, everything looks clear. And there's no fear. There's no fear. There's no thinking. The thinking part disappears. It just becomes knowing. And this is where it's effortless, because you just know it and you just do it. You find the capacity even to do it. So it's out of this, I call it out of this world kind of experience, because it's not just from this world. In a way, it feels like that to me. It feels like I just step into a new dimension. Yeah. And I'm thinking of it when I describe it. Just I am in that experience when I talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I hear you talk about it and I
I think,
feel it.
okay. Yeah.
And we just visited that space even a little bit, just in talking about it, we're evoking it. And it seems to me that it's always there. That experience is available, that experience of the effortless knowing, flowing rather than thinking about flowing or planning about what to do. And I'm curious for you. So I don't feel that all the time. But when I slow down and I direct my attention there, it always seems to be there. I may not be able to fully experience it, but I can feel it or sense it there. What do you notice about that?
Um, you're just taking me to a question someone asked me recently. Are you always Suhair in flow? Because I always want to be in flow. I always want to be in flow, and was asking me if you're actually always in flow. Maybe have you thought about that? And when I was asked this question, that made me think: what is different about the experience that I just described to you before and everyday life experience, and what is the difference there? And am I really in flow in other parts when maybe I don't think it's flow, but maybe it is. I'm not sure if I'm going to be answering your question right now, but you're going to come back to it if you don't receive your answer from it. But this is the thought that comes to mind now to share is, I think for me, when I say flow, there's no resistance. There's ease. There is not necessarily it's just easy, but the resistance part is not there. There is acceptance and doing and being, acceptance and being with what it is as is. There's no questioning about what it is. It's just seeing it as is and just be with it. And it's like there's no judgment. There's no hesitation even or wanting to have it in a different way. Because in that field, if you want it in a different way, in a way it feels like you have the ability to shift it the way you want. You want to go there, you can go there. You want to break that wall, you can break that wall. In terms of it's a block, a struggle, whatever it is, you can see through it. It's just there's no obstacle in that field. And so this is where I'm not sure if this is the life always that we go through is flow actually or not, but it's just, this is what I describe, what the flow that I desire to be in all the time. So I want you to go back now to your question and see if I answered parts of it or not at all.
Yeah. Well, my question as I remember it was like, what do you see about flow and how we're in it, and are we in it or are we out of it? So I think you were answering it.
Mm.
What occurred to me as you were speaking, I don't know if I can speak to this clearly, but I'll try,
Mm-hmm.
was that flow as you're describing it, this effortlessness, this ease, even when it's not easy,
Mm-hmm.
this not thinking. I usually would associate that with the beautiful feeling of being fully immersed in what I'm doing and not paying attention to my thoughts and not paying attention to anything else that would distract me from it. But what I started wondering is there flow available? Is that experience available within the experience of resistance? Right? Like, so there's even though something in me is just hating this or fighting or pulling, at the same time, being with it, allowing it to move. And my sense is that, yes, that's possible, that maybe even I'm thinking, so my suspicion, because there's some kind of myth that I've heard in personal development circles, like that we should always, I don't know if someone said it exactly, but it's like a common misunderstanding, I think, that we should always have this constant flow of energy, like this constant level of energy. And flow should be something that we can have all the time. And I've never met a human who has that experience. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, I do think that flow is available all the time. I just think it's in our humanness, we're meant to ride it. We're meant to ride up and down through all of the feelings and thoughts that we have. And flow is what's always sustaining us, like that. It's always there. And we're in it more than we're not, because it's so transparent when we're actually just being. We're not thinking about it. We don't even notice it usually until afterward. And we go, whoa, that was cool. And now I've like kind of come up out of it a little bit, like, woo, enough to think about it, right? So yeah, what comes up for you in that? That was a little bit babbly, but.
No, I got you actually. I think for me, finding flow in I would call it in stormy weather, or when there's resistance, as you mentioned, or obstacles, challenge. This is for me, I call finding another level of flow, another height, another capacity where we can expand ourselves and actually find a new space where we can find flow in it as well, find space in us to where we can flow with what is also there outside. I think for me, the first time when I really became aware of flow and experienced flow, it was in moments of either extremes, like either I'm totally in what I'm doing, I'm so enjoying, it could be an art experience, a painting experience, I'm totally in it, I'm totally one with it, and I disappear, and it's without notice, you just find yourself there. Or sometimes in very difficult, very, very difficult situation where you can't even think in it anymore, you just suddenly you just act, or you be in that situation without thinking, and suddenly you say, how did I do that? How was I able to do that? I step into a different field as well, but from a place of there's no other choice but doing this. So these are the two extremes, like where I experience flow, but now my practice is how to be in flow with everyday life kind of experiences, the challenges that we go through. And I discovered, and this is part of my practice for a while now, how to really be in that kind of flow and find flow in everyday moment. It's about really it starts with acceptance for me. It starts with saying yes to. Not saying yes, I'm accepting, I'm taking, I'm allowing it. No, I'm saying yes, it is what it is, and I'm saying yes to it. And find that moment of peace with it in you, in me. So really it's just finding that, like, it is what it is. What is it? What is it about? And go through and reflect and go inside of myself and see, what is my struggle about? What is my resistance about? And what is it that I find difficult here? What is it really that I cannot overcome here? What is it that I'm refusing to accept? And doing that kind of work, that inner work, reflection work, it's just suddenly as if I find a new, I breathe into it and I suddenly I feel an expansion in my heart and a release of tension in that moment. Like suddenly, and that my experience with that actually, there are three things so far. This is my experience. Three things happen when I am in that situation where I'm really wanting to accept that challenge or be with that challenge. Three things. When I reach that peace with it, I'm accepting it as is. Um, three things so far happened to me. Whether sometimes the first choice I become almost indifferent about it. Suddenly it doesn't even affect me. As if like why I was making a big deal out of it. I'm okay. It's okay to be there and I'm okay with it. The other the other thing that shows up for me, the other option, the other choice is actually what happens is I suddenly see something in the space around me that was always there, but I've never paid attention to it. Like as if I think my vision becomes wider to see more than what I was just looking at and keeping my focus on. Like it's just my vision widens and then I see more. I see more choices around me. I'm not just stuck in this. Actually, I can do this and I can do that. And there's suddenly as if a new door opens up for me that was already there. It wasn't new, but I wasn't seeing, I wasn't accessing. I didn't know that I can have access to, whatever is the reason. And the third thing sometimes happens. So it's one of these options that happen. I call it the magical one. Something really shifts in the space. Something changes. Something that was impossible becomes possible suddenly. And and this is for me like, yeah, this is flow. This is finding flow in the most difficult places. And for me, it happened when I found my peace with it, with whatever I was resisting. Peace doesn't mean I'm allowing anything to happen to me. I'm allowing anything to step over me. Not that. It's just I am at peace with it. But there's a big difference. Um, and for me, that third thing when it happens, sometimes when it happens, the shift happens outside, but also it happens inside of me. Actually, it's a shift that happens inside of me that actually creates it outside of me. And when that happens, I really suddenly feel bigger from the inside. Something opens up. Physically, I feel a change in my body from the inside on a heart level. Like my heart centers up a little bit more, bigger. And that suddenly even shifts my awareness to become more, like there's a more relief, more lightness in me. Just a magical space for me. Like when I witness this is existing, actually, it gives me hope, actually. It gives me hope that we have the potential in us to create, on that kind of level, to shift realities, to shift what we don't like in front of us and uh, create a vision that we desire in the world or for myself or, yeah, so I hope I answered your question, maybe.
What did you call the third option? Magic what?
I call it magical, the magical option, the magical,
The, the, the magical option.
yeah, yeah. It's the few things that I get when I become, when I find my peace with what it is. three things show up for me so far. Like I receive one of them usually. The third option is a different one.
Yeah. When you describe that, I'm like, whoa. It
Yeah.
takes me to another place, listening to it, looking in that direction.
Yeah.
I'm struck when I hear you talk about this, Suhair, how you are so determined, like a detective in this. Like, where is flow? What is this like? Like so devoted to following that, to exploring it, to investigating where flow comes from. What is it? What is it to have flow in everyday life and not just in these extremes? And I find something very beautiful in that.
It's interesting that you're saying that, and I never in my life thought I'm going to be a detective finding, looking for flow in my life, or for anyone else actually. But I think we found each other. We found each other. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't know it existed to start with. We met in an art experience where I was painting, and this is when I experienced flow. I never knew, even going through it, experiencing what I experienced, I didn't know that it was called flow. I experienced it again when I was playing one time sports, tennis, when I saw the ball coming towards me in slow motion. I was like, what's going on? And I was looking at it. It was a split second, but then I was seeing it in slow motion, like as if it took it like 10 seconds to arrive to me. I was able to prepare and to stand properly, to decide where I'm going to hit the ball next and where is the next spot, available spot. And this is when I had my best shot ever. And I never shared this with anyone at that time because I didn't know what it is. I thought I was just going hallucinating, or it was just the heat was too much. I was like thinking or assuming that. But then I started to read about it and started to read more about it. And actually some people experience that where time slows down. So for me, we met through that. And I met through some art experiences as well with flow, where it showed me there is a huge potential for us to step into that and receive the wisdom and the insight from that field. And I believe these kind of experiences, I know I feel blessed actually to be shown such the flow, to be shown such experiences in such a way. But also I take it as a responsibility. What is it for me then? I've been given this. What is there for me to bring to the world as well? What kind of teaching that I need to bring to the world from such field? Like if I can go there, and what can I bring from that field to the world as well? So I think it became more of, I've been shown this for a reason, or maybe I made myself believe that. And this is where I'm interested. Like it feels like a calling for some reason. It's just a calling for me. Mm-hmm. And it's something I have to do. It's something I have to find more than, and it gives me fulfillment, gives me satisfaction as well. It gives me purpose to live more deeply life. So yeah, I think I don't have any explanation of who I'm becoming after these kind of experiences. They're shifting me already in many ways.
Yeah, I see that. I've seen that in you. It's like every time this is how, especially that third option, the magical option you're talking about, how it seems to me is that it's like really having a glimpse of how the outside and the inside are the same. How we are that. How we create it and are created by it. It's the magic of what animates us. The intelligence of life, God, whatever we want to call that.
Mm.
really getting a glimpse of how we're not separate. And it's both, for me, it's both humbling and empowering. You know, I'm never a victim.
Mm.
Yeah, I read a book called Sane by a woman named Claire Diamond. And in this book, she says some quite radical things, radical because she says them so directly. And it comes from both the three principles background as well as non-dualism primarily, if we were going to put it into philosophical terms. And she says things like the other person doesn't exist. And things like something she said that I really sat with for, it's still with me, but I really sat with it for a few days was, if you don't have something, if it looks like you don't have something in your life on the outside that you would like to have, it's because you're not ready for it. And by not ready for it, it means that you still see that thing as separate from you. Because the moment you see that thing as also you, it will appear in your life.
Mm.
And I was like, what? What? How? What? She says she makes these kinds of statements that stick in my jaw. Like, oh my God, I can't get, like, what? If you really listen to that, when I really listen to that, I'm like, and I think there's something that you're seeing, it seems, around that. Like, it's really, that it's actually true in those moments when there is no difference. Like, we know, not conceptually, but we know energetically, maybe, that there is no difference between me and this thing. It has to appear.
Yeah.
And that everything that's appearing is because we see no difference between us and it.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the nature of reality, actually. And it blows my mind. And I try not to think about it too much because I don't think that thinking about it is helpful. But the feeling of it is magical.
Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly, I think, the way you said it in a different way, but exactly that experience of flow. The no separation part, you become one with the space, you become the space. And there's no different parts in you that is not exist. There's no different parts in you that is resisting the space outside. Like, it's just like all from the same nature. All from the same nature. And this is when actually air can go through you, and you can go through air, and actually you become the air. You are the air, you are the wind, you are the water in the sea, you are all of that. You just become, and when that happens, you get access to its power too. It's like you are the drop in the ocean, and the ocean is the drop. Exactly like that. And you become one with the nature of the space around you, and you become it. And this is like, for me, when this happens, it's just suddenly everything changes about my life. Like, what is it that I'm doing for what? As if I just need to be. There's like, because people get, I need to find my purpose, I need to find blah blah blah. It's just, you just need to be, actually, that's it. You just need to do anything, and once you find that, just, you're actually doing that, you're actually being that. Because in those kind of moments, I do not think of my purpose, I do not think of the next goal, I don't think of the next agenda on my list. Things are, it just happens, it's just, I'm living fully. And there's no more thing to do or to be. in that moment. But I think, yeah, I'll leave it here. Yeah, it's just reaching the top.
Mm. There is only what is.
And I'm not sure why what keeps us away from it, or I'm not sure if the word scares us even to be that. Uh, in my experience, I think we weigh ourselves down with what we think we should do, what should happen. Who said that, really? Who said that? Who created that for us? And I think we're just going further and further from reaching that or being that flow or being one with nature, being nature. I think humanity is separating for this more and more. And for me, when I get a glimpse of that, I remember who I am. It's just a remembrance of who I am. And I said in the beginning, it gives me hope to live for more and to experience more. And it's actually the most amazing feeling ever. That at that moment, there's nothing more I want or I need or I hope. Everything's there. And for me, for the first time, I in those kind of moments, I got a glimpse of what fulfillment means. Just not to want anything more than that, need or hope for anything else. So, and for me to experience that is just say, okay, this exists. It exists for us, and um, I am that as well. How can I bring myself more? How can I remember who I am? I want to remember more of who I am. And yeah, I think when I'm remembering who I am, I think there's something, a shift happens in the space as well. Like I think we connect, there's a connection that happens. And anyways, I'm just going now into deeper and deeper into it.
I like it. Don't stop.
uh, I think I feel myself going a deeper level that I was talking to you about before.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm reaching that and I'm finding my words into it, but there is something now wanting to happen through this conversation when I said a remembrance of who I am. Yeah. That I feel now deep, like something stopped in me now when I said
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Do you want to be with that for a minute?
Mhm. Yeah, something stopped, something paused. Yeah. Mm.
You can pause with it.
Mm.
I feel it too. What did you
Yeah.
notice?
Mm. There's no talking about it. Like the silence, the stillness, something sinking, like just like now I'm hearing the birds singing outside. Like I can hear the space around me more. I think all what I'm aware of is the singing of the birds outside the window. Although it's nighttime outside, but there are sounds of birds. which I don't hear at this point in time or at this time in my backyard outside, which is interesting. Mm. It's suddenly they don't need to talk. Yeah, like it's just like as if it was before I'm performing and now I'm just, I don't know. It's just becoming different. It's a different space now. Just dropping something. Um, yeah, dropping something. Dropping something that is not of my nature, I think. Yeah.
And you drop what is not you. You are left with what is,
Mm.
which you can't talk about. Doesn't have
Just,
words.
yeah, silence, it's just being, it's just
Mm-hmm.
suddenly becoming aware more of the room more and I don't know, it's just like entering a new space for some reason. It's just entering a new space. It's just like almost it's a new room now. Feels like a new room
Mm-hmm.
to me. And now even I feel different as well. So I don't know what it is. It just feels different. Yeah.
This is an ancient question that the wise ones for many thousands of years would ask as a path to enlightenment. To ask yourself the question, who am I? And ask it again, who am I? Not to get the answer that comes from the intellect, but to get to that feeling, that pointing. And I think of Alan Watts, who there's one of his lectures talks about the one thing you really mustn't know, you're not supposed to know. The secret that, especially in Western societies, they hide from us is what we really are. And I say what because it feels more like what we are than who we are. The who is the stuff we make up, the shoulds, and even the beautiful stuff we make up, the identities we make up, but it's all the stuff that passes away. And that the thing we're not supposed to know is that we are that. We are that God stuff of the universe. And when we know that, when we even just get a tiny glimpse of that, it's so beautiful and is life-changing. It is life-changing because all of the little mundane things, the things that were huge and overwhelming suddenly become clearly mundane and small. And I don't know that. And when you talk about it, I feel it. And I feel that I know this place. I know this space. I feel that I know I have been there. And yet, if I think about my life, I can't tell you that there was a particular time when I had like a realization of that. It's more like I get little glimpses of it all the time. I am in and out of it all the time. This is my experience. Like as we're talking, I am kind of floating in it, in and out of it, sometimes paying more attention to a thought here and there, and then coming back to it, and then paying attention to something. And, I have a piece of food on my lip or, whatever, because I could see myself in here. If I look, my attention is drawn away but I'm still here. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. I don't feel, I don't think about becoming enlightened or living in a particular way all the time because what I feel, what I experience is so good. There's nothing lacking in it. I'm so very human. And in my most human moments, I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel this thing that I feel that is awful, that I don't want this thing that looks like a problem happening in my life. Um, and yet in the midst of it, even in the middle of it, there is this, this knowing that I just have glimpsed. And those little glimpses, there's an eternity in those glimpses.
It was beautiful. Yeah. Wow. It's just how I think what you shared about getting connected with the reality of who we are, that for me is just, I think this is what I want to come close to. Like I got glimpses of, and I actually, it's the longing to want to be it. And um, I think it's the longing to remember and to be fully who we are. Mm.
I see when I kind of zoom out a little bit, I see there's no separation between remembering and forgetting. There's no difference in a way. It doesn't change what we are. Though when I'm in it, of course, it changes my experience completely. But when I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, it doesn't change. You know, it's still there. It's kind of like the flow. When we're immersed in the flow, there's one experience of it. But then the flow, we're always, what if we're always, it seems like we're always in the flow, but my attention is not. My attention may be grasped by something, held by something small and painful, or big and painful as it feels. But it doesn't mean I'm not in the flow. It's like I forget, as a part of being human, I forget every day what I am, making up stories and getting lost in things outside of me and the shoulds and have tos and obligations. But it doesn't take that away. It's that's what I mean by like there's no difference. Clearly there's a difference in my experience in the moment, but really there's no difference. And when I feel that, it's very reassuring. And I remember there's nothing for me to do and there's nowhere for me to go. And yet what a beautiful exploration.
Mm. Yeah, what I'm hearing you is letting go of expectations, letting go of wanting something in a specific way, and just go with the flow. Just be with it. Just allow to happen what wants to happen. And I think it's the letting go. It's just the surrender, and with no expectations really. The letting go, living life, no expectation how it should look and how it should be. It's just because we don't know what we don't know. It's just to flow in this now moment. Just be with it and just show up fully in every moment and allow it to take you where it wants to take you. Um, it's a it's a very free, open space in that way, and it's just like swimming in a big ocean. And like I think that building of trust there needs to happen. The trust to find your way back if you choose to, and so the surrender, the trust to surrender, knowing you will be where you need to be. Yeah.
I think this feels like a beautiful place for us to close.
Yeah.
So, Suhair, if people would like to find out more about you or contact you in some way, where's the best place they can go?
I have my LinkedIn account, same exactly my name, my first name, and my last name. They can find me there. And there they can see, I think, an email address as well. They can access me and reach me there. Yeah.
Perfect. I will be sure to post that in the description and the blog post with this. Thank you so much for inviting me into this exploration, inviting me to look again to this place, inviting me to remember, inviting us to remember.
Thank you. It was very special and precious experience, actually. Thank you so much for that opportunity.
Thanks so much for joining me for today's Wildspire conversation. If you'd like to receive a weekly Wildspire email from me filled with inspiring stories, unmarketing experiments, tips for playing your way to impact and income without the hustle and hype, insights from my spiritual business journey, and more, go to theawakenedbusiness.com/Wildspire. Until next time, may you know yourself as the gorgeous wild creation you are.